All right, so then there were the other things we were noticing on draft day. Sean Payton, the kicks, nice sneakers there, Coach. Well done. I'm sure Sean's son had a little influence on that. And then there was the post-midnight caper of what exactly was going on at the Vrabel residence. As Mike said, we got a bunch of 17, 18, 19-year-olds in here who are done with their quarantine. So they were as amusing as possible. It was a good influence for us at the 29th pick of the draft. Gave us something to watch at the end of the night. So we welcome you back to Lunch Talk Live. And by the way, Courtney Fallon from WEI Radio in Boston, thank you. Joe Judge is the one who had Abby the dog. Michelle and I couldn't remember who that was. I'm sure Peter King would have had Abby the dog for us at a moment's notice. Peter joins us now. Draft night was unique and it was different, Peter. And despite all the, oh my gosh, how is this going to happen? The league pulled it off, and I thought pulled it off in a really good fashion.
Mike, I spent part of the night on Thursday during round one with a team virtually. I can't really say which team it was. I'm going to write about it on Monday, but I spent this time watching this team, which was very active, trying to make a trade. And the only thing that was different is that the general manager trying to make these trades was not in the same room with his assistant GM and his coach and his scouting director and a couple of a cap guy. And so that was the only difference. But it was very clear he was conducting business exactly how he always did. So, and I don't mean to say this is much ado about nothing. This is different than any team has ever gone through before. But I have not heard one story from anybody saying that, well, we couldn't do business because we all weren't in the same room.
That's good to hear, and that's a great tease for Football Morning in America on Monday. Peter always has some unique draft angle, and that'll be one that nobody else will have, and I look forward to hearing that and reading that on Monday morning. Peter, to your point, Bob Quinn, the GM in Detroit, about 12:30, 12:45 last night, said he got a lot of questions about Jeff Okudah and that number 3 pick. He said, we were open for business, multiple conversations, but there was no firm offer. And I thought he made an interesting point, too, and this is sometimes the nuance that we miss a little bit on the draft. You don't, but sometimes us as fans do. The Giants at 4 with Joe Judge, there's a coach that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn know very well, and Joe Judge knows them. And then at 5, you've got Miami, and obviously the familiarity there with Brian Flores. So the guys right behind them, they all understand how Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia would be approaching a draft. So in some cases, they may have an idea there's no reason to trade up because they're not going to make a pick like this. And sometimes those are the little things that we end up figuring out on the morning after the draft.
I was still surprised, Mike, that the Miami Dolphins didn't use, say, the 39th pick or maybe even a third-round pick to basically ensure that they were going to get Tua Tagovailoa and that nobody was going to jump ahead of him and do it. And look, to the victor go the spoils. Congratulations to Miami, because clearly they predicted right. And then they didn't blow a draft choice, a high draft choice, in a draft that they're counting on to totally restock their team. And I don't mean to say but, because, again, to the winner goes the spoils. But how sick would they feel this morning if some unknown team, or even the Chargers, had jumped ahead of them to 3 and taken Tua? Mm-hmm. I mean, they would have been all heartsick. But again, they have some knowledge that clearly I don't, because otherwise they probably would have done that. All I'm saying is when I was watching last night, I really scratched my head as to why, now knowing that quarterbacks were picked at 5 and 6, and neither one of those teams felt like that they wanted to just get for insurance to move up to number 3, because look, the one thing the Lions knew is if they picked at either 4, 5, or 6, they were going to get the same pick. They were going to get it 3. In essence, it would have saved them money, to pick at 6 instead of picking at 3.
Exactly.
But it didn't work out. And look, it looks like those two teams got the quarterbacks they wanted.
Yeah, and Bob Quinn said, look, you need 2 to make that, to your point. And although there were multiple conversations, nobody made a firm offer to them at 3 to come up there. So there's nothing you can do. You can't manufacture something that's not out there. Peter, you do your mock draft, and I started comparing. Your mock was really dialed in so many places. You forget about that for a second. You're working on your story for Monday. When you push away and then you get a cup of coffee this morning and you look at that first round, what jumps out at you as those couple of wow points from what happened last night?
The Cowboys picking CeeDee Lamb. I mean, obviously, as Jerry Jones said last night after the draft, he was the 6th player on their board, the number 1 receiver. And they got a guy who they never thought they would have gotten. Now, I don't really love that pick for that team. They didn't really need an offensive weapon, Mike. But, they got an excellent player at number 17. And then, obviously, Jordan Love going to the Packers. There's no way to sugarcoat this. Aaron Rodgers is going to be ticked off. This is an incredible year for receivers in the draft. Here come the Packers, finally going to get Aaron Rodgers a weapon for his last, say, 4 years in the NFL, or 4 or 5 years, whatever. He has told me he wants to play at least 40 if his legs can, if he can keep getting out of trouble the way he has been. And what happens? The Packers say, well, Aaron, you may have 2 more years left, but then it's Jordan Love time. And look, I don't think it was a great pick by the Packers. However, I do applaud a team making a really difficult choice for the long term. This was a pick for 2030, okay? And if you look at this, Mike, what's amazing, how amazing will this be? If Jordan Love turns out to be good, okay, and none of us know that. Let's say he turns out to be good. Can you imagine if you're a Green Bay Packers fan and you're born in 1987, okay, you basically will turn 50 years old. And every year of your life that you've watched the Packers, they've been really good at quarterback. But again, we're presuming that Jordan Love will be really good. None of us know. But it's amazing how the Packers have always looked at the long view with the quarterback.
I'm going to stay here on this topic. Maybe I've beat it up a little much in this hour, but to me, it's the one that just wowed me in the draft last night. And you gave all the legitimate reasons. But Peter, I think this is a different NFL from even when Rodgers came in, when Favre was there. You don't put quarterbacks on the shelf for 2 or 3 years here anymore. And the Packers are close. They were in the final 8 last year.
Right.
They need offensive playmakers to go around the guy who is their Hall of Fame face of the franchise. Why not do that right now? I don't understand that.
I don't either. And I would not have done it.
Okay.
I applaud them for having the guts to do it, but I would not have done this. And the reason I wouldn't have done this is that I think as you watched Aaron Rodgers play, and Mike, you saw last year, as he and Matt LaFleur kind of got used to each other, okay, you saw Aaron Rodgers playing significantly better, later in the year than he did earlier in the year. So my gut feeling watching the Packers is, and look, I don't know how good they're going to be. I thought they probably overachieved a bit last year, but still, they're 1 game away from going to the Super Bowl. So I am mind-boggled a bit that they don't think that for the next 3 years, their best chance is Aaron Rodgers. And really, in a practical, pragmatic sense right now, if you take a quarterback in the first round, you basically have bought yourself 5 years. However, you have to make a call on that quarterback after his 3rd year, because you have to decide whether you're going to activate the 5th year of that deal. So if you're going to activate that, that means that Aaron Rodgers has 2 more years left.
Yeah, that's where the head-scratching part of it is. It's fascinating. I'm glad you were able to break it down. And you're right, Peter. This could be an unbelievable pick down the road. People can pick this up off of YouTube in 10 years and make a fool out of us. I'm just questioning it at the moment, and good luck, Green Bay. Hope it works out for you, because there's nothing like going to Lambeau and watching enjoyable Packer football. Thanks. You've already had the earliest tease. It's a Friday at noon tease for the Monday column. We look forward to reading Football Morning in America and enjoy the next couple of days. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.